Hi everybody, welcome to Simply Scuba. In today's video, I'm taking a closer look at the Apeks LifeLine guide reel. So this is a guideline reel for caves, a cave reel as such. So if you're diving in overhead environments, it's so that you can pay out that guideline so you can always make it back to the exit or entrance safely. So most cave lines, they're fairly standard across the different manufacturers. They don't tend to sort of vary that much, but Apeks have sort of disassembled it, looked at each individual component of the guideline and really dialed it up to 11 to try and make the best guideline available. They spent a lot of time with real cave divers, sort of giving them the different aspects and seeing what can be changed and what can be made better, and they have created this, which is the Lifeline guide. So a lot of flair and a lot of style compared to the very standard generic guideline reels. But a lot of the features are very, very comfortable and just a bit more practical, and they do definitively make sense when you sort of put it all together. So taking a closer look, starting off at the handle. So the handle itself is rubberized, so that gives you a decent amount of grip, means you don't have to really hold down onto it to keep it in position. And it's contoured, it's got all this detailing on it, so yeah, you don't really have to grab on hold to just hold it in position when you're paying out line. But one other thing that I really like about this is that with the whole spool in general, is that you can disassemble it and adjust it to your preference. So these orange sections here, the aluminium sections, so these actually, if you undo a small bolt in one side of it, and actually on the other side to be honest, they then come apart, and then the handle, you can actually rotate it so it's more comfortable for you. You can flip it over. So if you want this stainless steel attachment point, if you want that on the other side, you can do that. If you want it rotated a little bit, these are basically held in position by a kind of a nut. So you can rotate it a little bit and you can have it fit exactly where you want it to, and then you just bolt it back together. It's very, very clever, very easy to do just with a set of Allen keys. I think it's just a 3mm Allen key, and you're sorted. Very, very clever. The aluminium sections, so these are tough and obviously water resistant. Another reason why it's quite nice to be able to disassemble it is so that you can really sort of wash and clean it thoroughly. If you've been on a big dive excursion, you want to get all the kind of the silt and or salt water sort of out of those little cracks and crevices. Yeah, just pull it apart, and it's very easy to reassemble. Another thing that I quite like, if we move on to the spool, is you might be able to see these kind of dimples around that spool. So when you're paying out line, you can actually add some friction and you get that kind of feedback of how easily or how quickly you're paying out line, and then you can add the brakes, you can put the brakes on, and it just gives you a bit more control, so you can keep a slight amount of tension on the line to your preference. Moving down to the locking mechanism, so a stainless steel oversized nut, and that's got this sort of hashing detailing on, so if you're wearing gloves you can still use that, and yeah, it's just a pretty standard locking nut. You screw it in to stop it from paying out line, unscrew it, and that releases the spool. It's guided as well, so so the line sort of has something to go back into. Talking about the line itself, so this orange line is obviously high contrast, so really easy to see in pretty much all water types. But what Apeks did is they basically went round anybody and everybody who makes lines, and they got samples of all of them and they tested them just to make sure they were the best for this. So everything from sort of tension strengths and all that kind of stuff, abrasion tests, they went through everything, and this is what they eventually come up with as the best. So this is about 2 mil thick. It's a round line, orange as you can obviously see, so it's really easy to see. At the end of the leader, they put a nice little section on the end so you can grab hold of it. A bead as well, which just gives you something to grab hold of. If I pay out a bit more line and show you the leader, big open sort of loop, so it's really easy to tie off. And what they actually did, instead of putting a knot in this section here, you can see that they've sewn it. And they tested that actually if you tie a knot, that's actually going to reduce the overall strength of that section of line, and over time it wears out faster, whereas by actually sewing it, it's much stronger for much longer. And then they use this heat crimp tape to or a sleeve, sorry, just to reinforce that section. Moving on to, or back to the spool. So 120 meters of line on this spool, so quite a lot of line on it, and it's just made out of plastic. I don't think this is Delrin. This just looks like a standard thermoplastic or something. And on that you have an oversized metal sort of grab, so that you can wind your line back on really easily, again, even if you have chunky gloves. So all in all, yeah, a really fancy spool. This is the, not a spool, a cave reel. This is really the rock star of the cave line lineup. It's really going to stand out on the dive site. 4 different colors as well, so yeah, if you have multiple ones, or if your team has sort of separate colors, then yeah, you can really start to identify. And yeah, all in all, it's really tough. I saw some of the tests that they put these spools through, and even like throwing them off rooftops and stuff. Very strong. I think I saw one and they drove a truck over it. So yeah, they do feel very strong and reliable. One thing that I said earlier is that I quite like that you can disassemble it really easily just with a set of Allen keys to really sort of get in and sort of fix and repair or clean, and very customizable as well, in that you can really disassemble this handle, move it around and make it much more comfortable for you. So if it's not comfortable in this position, then you can rotate it so that it fits your hand perfectly. All in all, yeah, I can't really fault it. It's a very smart piece of kit. It's definitely got a certain sense of style. This is the Apeks LifeLine guide reel. There's going to be more information about it down in the description below, but even more so on our website, simplyscuba.com. There's going to be a link directly to it in that description. Thanks for watching, and safe diving.